It can be argued that there is a need for a common culture, heritage, and language to form a new country. One group of countries that have these similarities are the Nordic countries, namely Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland. We also need to include the Åland Islands, which is an autonomous region of Finland, the Faroe Islands, and Greenland, which are autonomous countries within the Kingdom of Denmark. In the past, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden were united under a single monarch in the Kalmar Union, but this union was often shaky and unstable. Battles were fought between a Germanic confederation of merchant guilds and towns known as the Hanseatic League. This led to severe trade disruptions within the Union, while an increase of taxes continued. Revolts and rebellion within the Union became more frequent, and in 1523 Sweden declared independence from the Union. These facts are now written in the history books. However, what if the politics were to change these countries' allegiances? What if the Nordic countries united today to form a single country? The potential for these countries to unite is currently greater than any other region in the world. The Nordic people have a greater tolerance of each other, often displaying trust and close cooperation, achieving in a high standard of living and little government corruption. All these countries were placed in Forbes' 10 happiest countries in the world, in its 2018 list, with Finland placed first, Norway second, Denmark third, Iceland fourth, and Sweden ninth. They're so sad because PewDiePie doesn't live there anymore. Let's explore in terms of population and land size how large this united country would be compared to the rest of the world. In terms of population, Denmark has 5.7 million, Sweden has just over 10 million, Norway has a population of 5.3 million, Finland 5.5 million, and Iceland is the smallest at just 340,000 citizens. The unification with the current populace would result in a population of 26.8 million. Its population would be higher than countries such as Australia, Romania, Kazakhstan and Sri Lanka. However, it would be below countries like Angola, Saudi Arabia and Poland. If all the Nordic countries combined into one nation, it would have a land area of 3.4 million square kilometres. It would result in a larger landmass than India, but slightly less than Australia, making it the 7th largest country in the world. According to the International Monetary Fund, these countries rank high in terms of gross domestic product, or GDP. Sweden has a GDP of $600.7 billion. Norway has $443.2 billion, Denmark has $369.7 billion, and the GDP of Finland is $289.5 billion. Iceland is the only country to not reach the top 50 with a GDP of $23.9 billion. Hypothetically, our united Nordic nation would have a GDP of $1.7 trillion. This country would be ahead of countries like Spain, Indonesia and Russia, but behind countries such as Brazil, India and the UK. If we look at GDP per capita, which is the GDP divided by population, Norway leads the way with $70,600 per capita. Iceland has $52,100 per capita. Sweden follows not far behind at $51,300 per capita. Denmark has $49,600 per capita, and finally Finland with $44,000 per capita. This is evidence of the high standard of living that the current countries achieve. Let's consider its military power. The military defence budget of Denmark is currently 4.4 billion, Sweden's is 6.2 billion, Norway has a budget of 7 billion, Finland has 3.6 billion and Iceland 45 million. Iceland's military budget is very low as it does not have a standing army. Instead, they only have a coast guard to patrol its waters. The combined defence budget of these countries would be 21.6 billion, placing it ahead of Turkey and similar to Israel but less than Italy. The combined active personnel of this newly united country would be 99,000 and its reserve personnel would be 1.2 million. Considering its economic and military strength, the country would likely not become a major global superpower, but would certainly be able to stand its ground. A good example is when Finland managed to defend itself against the Soviet invasion with superior numbers and technology in 1939 during the Winter War. The success was partially the tactics of using their cold wintry terrain and implementing guerrilla warfare to hinder Soviet invasion, utilising tactics of Molotov cocktails and ski warfare. To this day, it is compulsory that all young adults in Finland at the age of 18 serve in the military for at least 9 months to train and learn to defend their country. Currently, Denmark, Norway and Iceland are a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, otherwise known as NATO. But if these countries wanted to join together, it's likely they would leave and form their own united military alliance. Another fundamental question would be where the capital would reside. Many of the Nordic capitals are often seen as clean, safe and attractive, compared to other cities around the world. The capitals of these countries are Reykjavik for Iceland, Oslo for Norway, Copenhagen for Denmark, Stockholm for Sweden and Helsinki for Finland. However, there are other unique cities like Gothenburg, Bugden and the capital of the Faroe Islands, Tórshavn. The potential for Copenhagen to be cited for this new nation would hold much credence, as it was once the capital of the Kalmar Union. However, Stockholm is currently the largest city and is often referred to as the capital of Scandinavia. The candidates for this unified capital city would undoubtedly be between the existing capitals. However, if agreement was not unanimous, then a South African model could be implemented. In South Africa, there is not a single capital city. Instead, they give this honour to 3 cities, one for each branch of government. But if a single capital was to be allocated, the status of Gothenburg as a substantial and successful city with a centralised location must be considered as a viable option. What do you think the capital should be? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Swedish citizens can comprehend Norwegian but have some trouble understanding Danish because of its pronunciation. However, difficulty may arise with integrating Finnish within a communal language, as it's not a North Germanic language. The Finnish language has its roots from the Finnic language group, which is a branch of the Uralic language family. Globally, it is estimated there are around 25.4 million native speakers of these languages. There would be 9 million speakers of Swedish, 6 million speakers of Danish, 5.4 million speakers of Finnish, 5 million Norwegian speakers, 320,000 Icelandic speakers and 90,000 Faroese speakers. If this coalition were to be preceded, the decision of either remaining a monarchy or becoming a republic would need to be decided. Denmark, Sweden and Norway have a ruling monarch, although they do not hold political significance or power and are often considered as a ceremonial head of state. If these Nordic countries were to unite, they would likely dominate sporting events at the Winter Olympics and become a major player in the FIFA World Cup. Finland and Sweden have proven to be great players in the sport of ice hockey. Denmark and Sweden have competitive football teams. Norway tend to dominate skiing, winning gold medals in speed skiing, cross-country skiing, ski jumping and alpine skiing in the 2018 Winter Olympics. So with these nations united, they would likely become a major player in the world of international sporting events. This country would also boast a wide variety of natural wonders and stunning locations. The Aurora Borealis, commonly known as the Northern Lights, can be seen in all Nordic countries except Denmark. Auroras are produced when the magnetosphere is sufficiently disturbed by the solar wind. This natural phenomenon emits stunning light of various colour and complexity, producing a stunning display for all to see. Norway has some of the most greatest and most beautiful scenery in the form of its fjords, all of which have their own unique characteristics. The cities of Oslo, Roskilde and Stockholm contain grand museums of the region's history in the form of the Vasa and Viking ship museums. Iceland is one of the world's most active volcanic islands, featuring numerous geysers, volcanoes, glaciers and is known as the land of ice and fire. While Finland attracts a lot of tourism for its many lakes and natural beauty and is known as the land of lakes. This newly formed country would also need to decide on a single flag design. This may be adopting the historic Kalmar Union flag or creating an entirely new one, perhaps by combining the current Nordic flags. Currently all flags of these countries, with the exception of Greenland, contain the Nordic cross. Therefore, it's highly likely this design would be featured. All these countries also have a high life expectancy, with Iceland ranking high at 82.7 years, 82.4 for Sweden, 81.4 for Norway, 81.1 for Finland and 80.6 for Denmark. All Nordic countries have highly developed hospital services and all have a universal public health system that is taxation based. Having discussed many of the benefits of living in these nations, it must also be noted that residents are required to pay high taxes, and not forgetting the difficulties of living within the Northern Hemisphere, notably the long cold winters and lack of light in many regions. What do you think of this theoretical country? Do you think it would take the name from its historic past, the Kalmar Union, or come up with something completely new? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and thank you all for watching.